Bank Negara governor submits resignation. Government wants a no warship policy in Malaysian waters. Good evening, I'm Amin Carlos and you're watching News Until. Bank Negara Malaysia Governor Tan Sri Muhammad Ibrahim has submitted his resignation today. And Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said Tan Sri Muhammad had expressed his desire to leave and the cabinet had accepted it.
He didn't say any concrete reason, but he expressed a desire to resign.
Oh, so it doesn't have anything to do with the land deals and whatnot?
He never mentioned that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Commenting further, Tun Dr. Mahathir added that the Yang di-Pertuan Agong's approval was needed to announce a new governor. He said this in a packed press conference held after the cabinet meeting. Media reports had indicated that Tan Sri Muhammad's resignation was linked to a 2 billion ringgit central bank purchase of a land from the previous administration that was concluded in a hastily manner. It was alleged that the previous administration of Dato Sri Najib Tun Razak had used money raised from the land deal to pay off some of the debts of 1MDB, the state investment fund that's been mired in a corruption scandal. Bank Negara has said the purchase was transacted at fair value and complied with all governance requirements and relevant laws. Former Deputy Governor Dr. Nur Samsiah Muhammad Yunus is strongly tipped to succeed Tan Sri Muhammad. New additions to the cabinet lineup is expected to be announced by next week. Tun Dr. Mahathir said various factors need to be taken into account in regards to selection of the new ministries.
I'm trying to fill up my cabinet, if possible, by the end of this week, but it may extend to next week.
Previously, Tun Dr. Mahathir announced 13 cabinet ministers and did not reject the notion that they would add more ministers where needed. The swearing-in ceremony for the 13 ministers was held on May 21st at Istana Negara. Now, meanwhile, the first meeting of the first session of the 14th Parliament will be held for 20 days beginning July the 16th. In announcing this, the Prime Minister said the upcoming session will, among others, focus on the abolishment of the Goods and Services Tax Act 2014. It will also pave way for reintroduction of the Sales and Services Tax, or SST Bill.
Dan dalam masa itu kita akan bincang soal-soal kertas-kertas berkenaan dengan pemansuhan beberapa undang-undang seperti yang telah kita janjikan, terutamanya berkenaan dengan Sales and Services Tax, GST akan dihapuskan, fake news, undang-undang fake news juga akan dihapuskan, dan akan ada beberapa pindaan kepada undang-undang yang lain yang kita akan umumkan.
The Prime Minister told a press conference after attending the weekly cabinet meeting today. The first day of the Parliament sittings will see the swearing-in of the elected representatives and speech from Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Muhammad V. On another note, all members of Parliament will be given an allocation of 500,000 ringgit and 200,000 ringgit to operate their respective community welfare service centres. Commenting further on this, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the opposition MPs, on the other hand, will receive an allocation of 100,000 ringgit.
Peruntukan ahli Parlimen sebanyak 500,000 ringgit untuk ahli Parlimen dan 200,000 ringgit bagi pusat khidmat ahli Parlimen akan disalurkan sebelum perayaan Hari Raya Aidilfitri.
At the same press conference, the Premier also highlighted that Malaysian waters will practice a no-warship policy.
Kita juga berpendapat bahawa adalah baik jika tidak ada kapal perang yang ditempatkan di Selat Melaka dan Laut Cina Selatan.
Commenting on the MH17 shoot-down tragedy 4 years ago, Tun Dr. Mahathir said further action will be taken.
Jabatan Peguam Negara bersama-sama Kementerian Luar Negeri akan mengkaji dengan teliti tindakan susulan yang boleh diambil ke atas pihak bertanggungjawab berdasarkan hasil siasatan jenayah MH17.
The tragedy saw the loss of 283 passengers and 15 crew which were on their way from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. Newly appointed Attorney General, AG, Tommy Thomas, has outlined 3 main priorities set ahead, with the first being investigations surrounding the One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB. The 66-year-old, who began his tenure today after taking over from Tan Sri Muhammad Apandi Ali, clocked in for work at 1:12 p.m. in Putrajaya.
The government's first and immediate priority is all matters pertaining to 1MDB. I have therefore to study the papers in that scandal. We shall institute criminal and civil proceedings in our courts against the alleged wrongdoers. All are equal before the law and no one will be spared. There will be no cover-up.
Thomas further noted that the AGC will contact its counterparts in the United States, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Singapore and other countries to extend its full cooperation and assistance to them in all matters related to the scandal. The second in the list of priorities would be to repeal oppressive laws in the country, while the third are to look into dubious international contracts and obligations undertaken by the previous government. Negotiations will be held with China's national authorities on the investigation into the Surya Strategic Energy Resources Sendirian Berhad SSER scandal. Tun Dr. Mahathir said Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng, along with Malaysia Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC officers, will fly out to China for talks.
Well, we will investigate that. But this idea that you should pay berkala according to time, without regard for the further progress of work, is wrong. So we want to study why was this system of payment agreed to by the Malaysian government.
Recently, Guan Eng revealed the discovery of another 1MDB-related scandal involving Joldo, SSER, and 9.4 billion ringgit. To date, a total sum of 8.25 billion ringgit, or a staggering 87.7% of the total project value, have been paid, despite an average completion rate of only 13%, with another 2 years of the contracts to go, making it a highly suspicious and lopsided transaction. The SSER is a wholly owned Ministry of Finance subsidiary set upon May 19, 2016, with the specific intent to undertake the multi-product pipeline, MPP, and the Trans-Sabah Gas Pipeline, TSGP projects. The late Encik Besar Haja Kalsum Abdullah, mother of the Sultan of Johor, Sultan Ibrahim Ibni Almarhum Sultan Iskandar, was laid to rest at the Bukit Mahmudiyah Royal Mausoleum around 11:20 a.m. today. Her remains was buried along the same row as her late grandson, Tengku Laksamana Johor Almarhum Tunku Abdul Jalil's tomb, who died of liver cancer on December 5, 2015. The funeral ceremony began at 8:15 a.m. when the palace's gates were opened to members of the public who paid their last respects. Encik Besar Kalsum's remains were placed on display for approximately 2 hours before being taken to the Royal Mausoleum, located about 2.87 kilometers from Istana Besar. The hearse was pulled by 40 Johor Military Force soldiers on foot to the Royal Mausoleum. Accompanying the hearse were the Johor royal family, headed by Sultan Ibrahim, together with Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah of Brunei. They were followed by state dignitaries and members of the public, and Haja Kalsum, 83, passed away at King Edward VII's Hospital in London on Friday. Now, the Penang government wants to hear the public's views on limiting the chief ministership after state legal advisors proposed that it be limited to 2 times instead of 2 terms. Now, Chief Minister Chow Kun Yeow said while the state had wanted to impose a 2-term limit, it might not be easy to define a term. Chow said if a term was defined as 5 years, there could be complications if an election was called within the 5-year period. As such, the state legal advisor had proposed that a chief minister cannot be appointed more than twice.
Memberi kesan kepada cadangan untuk menghadkan tempoh berkhidmatan Ketua Menteri, maka dicadangkan satu perkara ditambahkan selepas perkara 2 iaitu 2A iaitu tiada ahli Dewan Undangan Negeri yang boleh dilantik sebagai Ketua Menteri lebih dari 2 kali.
Speaking at a press conference, he added that the public could provide their feedback on the matter to the state government either in writing or via email. Chow said that any decision on the proposal will only be made after receiving feedback from individuals, organizations, associations and organizations in the state. Well, all Federal Land Development Authority, FELDA, and Federal Land Consolidation and Rehabilitation, FELCRA settlers will each receive a Hari Raya special incentive payment of 450 ringgit each. And Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad today announced that the government will bear the cost of the incentive for FELDA settlers at a cost of 50 million ringgit.
Bayaran insentif KAS Aidilfitri sebanyak RM450 akan diberikan kepada semua peneroka FELDA termasuk non-member FELDA settlers dan juga FELCRA. Bayaran insentif ini akan disemak semula pada tahun 2019 di mana penerima bantuan sara hidup tidak lagi layak menerimanya.
Speaking after chairing the cabinet meeting today, Tun Dr. Mahathir said the incentive payment for FELCRA settlers will be paid from FELCRA's profits. He said that for FELDA, the announcement would benefit 112,635 settlers. Kedah Customs seized more than 5 million contraband cigarettes and clove cigarettes worth 693,000 ringgit with unpaid taxes amounting to 2.95 million ringgit. Now, the loot was seized during a raid at an unoccupied premise in Sungai Puyu, Butterworth, Pulau Pinang on 24th May. While during a press conference, they announced to catch Kedah Customs Director, well, he says that an enforcement team from Bukit Kayu Hitam branch conducted the raid based on intelligence. And as a result of the raid, 3 lorries and a van were found carrying the various types of contraband and clove cigarettes. No individuals were found at the premise during the raid, and now all the vehicles were seized and sent to Bukit Kayu Hitam Enforcement Store pending investigations and further action. A 20-year-old was sentenced to 7 years and 6 strokes of the cane after he pleaded guilty to the possession of improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, in Pasir Puteh, Kelantan last year. Well, according to the charge, the accused, Muhammad Hafizi Mat Juso, led the investigating officer to his bedroom where he stored 4 pipe bombs as well as bomb-making equipment and materials. Now, Judge Ahmad Basri Baharudin of the Kota Baru Sessions Court found the accused guilty under Section 8 of the Firearms for Heavier Penalties Act 1971 and Act 37, which carries penalties under the same section. The accused lawyer, Arif Azami Hussain, pleaded for a lighter sentence on grounds that the accused was still young when he committed the offence, which was also his first offence. He added the accused had continued his studies during his incarceration and obtained a CGPA of 2.92 in his STPM examination, with the potential of pursuing tertiary education in future. However, DPP Siti Hajar Alias urged the court to mete out the appropriate sentence, seeing that the offence was serious and could have cost lives. The judge then ordered the sentencing to start from the date of the arrest, which was October 10th, 2017. Well, a lorry driver was killed after losing control of his vehicle before crashing into a drain at kilometer 312.2 of the East Coast Expressway early this morning. Now, in the 3 a.m. incident, the victim, Muhammad Anwar Abdul Malik, was driving along the East Coast Expressway and his vehicle was filled with 17,000 liters of sulfuric acid and crashed into a nearby drainage. It is believed that the victim died on the spot due to severe injuries on his head and body. In confirming the incident, Terengganu Fire and Rescue Department Assistant Director for Operations, Muhammad Zulkhairul Muhammad Razila, said 4 vehicles and an ambulance from the Emergency Medical Rescue Services, or EMRS, department rushed to the scene after receiving the distress call around 3:25 a.m. He also said the sulfuric acid flowed out of the vehicle onto the drain due to the leakage on the valve tank. The victim's remains were later brought to the Forensic Unit Department at the Kemaman Hospital for post-mortem. And that concludes this evening's News on 2. In our top story, Bank Negara Governor Tan Sri Muhammad Ibrahim submits resignation. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon for more updates. Till then, I'm Amin Carlos. Good night and thanks for watching.